Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Social Work 12 podcast. I'm Taylor, and Faith is still on maternity leave. I miss her greatly, but she'll be back at some point. Still doing well. But today we're going to be talking about social workers in tech. And I'm so excited for this. So, the guest that I have today is Leslie. She works at Found Ever. She hasn't started there yet, but she'll be start I mean, you will have started when this
Yeah.
episode releases. And you said your title is Director of Integrated Solutions, Trust and Safety. So, we're going to be talking about trust and safety, which I knew nothing about until I saw Leslie's post on LinkedIn where she talks about we need more social workers in tech and like these are the various kind of, I don't know, tech niches that social workers can work in. And my mind was literally blown and I was like, I need this lady on the podcast. So, welcome Leslie.
Thank you. It's so good to be with everybody today and talking
So,
to you, Taylor.
yes, thank you for joining us. This is oh my gosh. So, I think we should start with just your career journey and how you got into tech. Like let's go there. Maybe let's start with like grad school. Tell us a little bit about your internships and let's go from there.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to start a little bit before.
Okay, let's do it.
I was working in for a professional or a trade association company, and I wasn't necessarily, this isn't my passion, right? It was the first job I got as BA. So I kind of started looking at different job descriptions and seeing, hey, what would make me happy? And everything said Masters of Social Work was needed. So I said, I have to go to grad school. So went to grad school, wanted to help children. Um, and from there, I didn't get some of those roles that I wanted when I was applying, but I ended up getting a job as an intensive in-home therapist. So I was with the clients 8 to 10 hours a week in their homes, and
Wow.
it's a lot.
That's a lot. That was your first job out of grad school or
Yeah,
in
first job
in
out of grad school.
wow.
So it was, I would come home and I'm like, my roommate would hop on my bed, let's talk, and I don't want to. I'm tired. I'm burnt out from today. And dealing with
Yeah.
everybody's, yeah, I mean, when it's therapy, it's a lot that you're,
Yeah, and that's intense.
yes,
And I imagine the pay was,
very low. I don't even remember what it was. But it was definitely not enough to pay back my student loans at the time.
yeah.
Um, but from there, so I had a friend that worked at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and she knew in grad school I wrote all of my papers on human trafficking. There wasn't a lot back then, but
Fascinating.
really fell in just in love with, hey, I want to be able to help survivors, right, of human trafficking. And she told us, hey, our human trafficking team, they're not hiring. Actually, I think it was called Child Sex Trafficking Team. But she goes, the cyber tip line is, you should apply. I think you would really enjoy it. And I always heard about like what she did, and it always sounded fascinating, right? So I applied. Um, very thankful that I got hired. And so the cyber tip line at NetMech is, so all of the ESPs, electronic service providers like Google, Facebook, Snap, they all have to report by law, federal law, any um, child sexual abuse material, which we call CSAM. So if I say CSAM throughout this, you'll know what it is.
Okay.
Um, but they are required to report that to the cyber tip line at NetMech. So I was the one reviewing those cases. So I would
Wow.
review the images, the videos, and package up the report and send it off to law enforcement. Um,
Interesting.
and then law enforcement took it from there.
So, yeah, I feel like it's a little trigger warning for maybe some of this content and what you're. I just am realizing, like, yeah, the stuff, the work that you've been doing, you've been seeing some probably pretty egregious
I've been
things.
seeing a lot,
Yeah.
and we'll go into a little bit more later, but I've seen the worst of the worst that the internet has to offer.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
but from there, I mean, when you at NetMIC, the routes are either you go law enforcement or tech. And honestly, I applied for both. I let fate choose my path. Um,
Interesting.
and
Okay.
I ended up getting a job at Snapchat on the trust and safety team. And I was employee number 4 on that team. So it was really when Snapchat was still very, very small.
That's wild. Yeah, I see on your LinkedIn it was in 2015. So within when you say the net mech,
I also say the center, or it's
that's the National Center for
Nick.
Missing and Exploited
Yeah.
Children. Okay. So the people that work there, there's already kind of this conversation of like, okay, where are we going next? We can go to tech, we can go to law enforcement, and so I don't know, was there kind of like a light bulb moment, or it was just kind of normal that people transition into tech? Did it seem
It
odd to
wasn't
you?
it wasn't normal. I
Okay.
think on my team, I was the third employee to transition into tech.
Okay.
And it was shortly after that the other two left for another company.
Yeah. Okay.
But
I
now
want to.
it's pretty normal.
Okay. Interesting. What? I'm just like I'm curious about your, I don't know, application process, and did you find that like using a social, I mean, it's like our social work resumes are very I don't know, just like social worky. I don't have the adjectives for it, you know? So, were there tips or anything or things that you did to your resume to make it a little bit more techie? And I guess we're kind of going to get to that
Yeah,
later, but I'm just curious about like, was it a hard transition to like get this job?
for me it wasn't. I think I have a different path because I talk to a lot of social workers about transitioning, right? First off, I transitioned when trust and safety, a lot of people didn't know about it. Still people don't really
No.
necessarily know about it, right?
I just learned about it last month when we met.
So it was definitely different. There were not a lot of jobs. And so it was, I think it was still fairly new,
Yeah, you kind of were in on the ground
like the
floor.
frontier, right? There were
Yeah.
people even before me, they have like 20 years of experience. So they were
Yeah.
like really the grandmothers and grandfathers of trust and safety.
Yeah, totally.
So I don't remember what I did,
Okay.
but I think for me it was I had a contact at Snapchat and they knew who I was.
Okay.
So I saw a position available and said, "Hey, well, are you guys willing to refer me?" And they did. So I'm very grateful for that.
Awesome.
So I think it was just knowing somebody that knew me that was able to refer me.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's get into you're working at Snapchat. This is a platform that I mean, like, I feel like we all used it at some point in our lives. And I want to know a little bit more about like the work that you did there and like what you were seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a trust and safety specialist. I did get promoted into a senior specialist, but essentially I was doing content moderation. So a lot of it was we would get user reports and if like harassment, online bullying, suicide threats, child sexual abuse material. I
Mm.
mean, terrorism, like the list goes on, animal abuse, like just think of the worst that you can even think of. And those were what I was seeing. So if it was against the policy, we would delete it and like warn the user, right? So sometimes people report things like, hey, I didn't like Kim Kardashian's outfit today, right? That's not a violation. So kind
Hmm.
of, but those still came into our queues as well.
Wow. So was your job just all day? You're reviewing these snaps and this content, like just all day you're going through and deciding whether this needs to be deleted or not, whether this user needs to be removed from the platform or not. Like you're just looking at content all
Even
day.
like, yeah, even if it doesn't need to be escalated to NCMEC or doesn't need to be escalated to law enforcement, right? So yeah, that's essentially what I did all day. We were we were a small team, right? So there were other things that we helped with too, whether it was looking for the trends. A big one is, hey, we started seeing people eat Tide Pods. This is not normal. We don't have a policy for this too. So really you're on the front line, so you're really able to see those trends and kind of move them up, right? To the policy team to say, hey, we need a little bit of help sorting this out.
Interesting.
So that was a little bit of what we did as well. We also focused a lot on well-being as well. Well-being is such a huge aspect of trust and safety, and I think every trust and safety team has some sort of wellness component now. So we did group sessions together. We had access to individual therapy if we wanted, right? But we did also a lot of team bonding exercises as well. So wellness was also a big part of our day as well.
And when you say wellness, it's like wellness of the employees is
Yes.
a part of what you guys try to kind of push and implement throughout the organization.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So, wow. I'm just like, just like it's just mind blown. Do you feel like when when you transitioned into working at Snap that people were um I don't know, valued your opinion? I know that like some people could have maybe some just imposter feelings about social workers not being valued, and I mean it's imposter but also it's real life. We're not, our perspectives and voices aren't always valued in the workplace. So what was that like there?
I think at Snap I was very lucky. I think in pretty much all of my tech jobs, I've been very blessed with a team that really did value me and really valued my opinion. So I think part of that too is not just the social work background, but I think also just having that pillar of the child safety at NCMEC and having that experience also I think helped elevate me as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, we've been saying trust and safety for kind of just generally, but like what is your like definition, or, how do you explain trust and safety to people?
Yeah, so I think it's part of the easiest way to describe it is it's part of the tech world responsible for keeping users safe. From moderating harmful content, which you already heard about.
Mhm.
Also building the systems that really prevent that abuse and the fraud and exploitation. And it's everything that really happens behind the scenes to ensure people can engage with the platforms in really healthy ways. And I think social workers are really a natural fit for this field.
Absolutely.
Um, but simply put, too, trust and safety professionals are the social workers of the internet.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, I just got chills. That's so cool. We need that on a tagline. We need that in a tagline.
We definitely do.
Oh my gosh, I love
I
that.
mean, I can't take credit for that, to be honest. This one person I know, he came to TrustCon, which is the big trust and safety conference, and he's a social worker trying to get into the industry. And he,
Okay.
after the conference, he kind of said that to me, and I go, I have been saying it's like social work, right? But I
Yeah.
haven't put that tagline, so I cannot take credit for it.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Of the internet. No, that is seriously uh that's seriously amazing. So yeah, there it's your guys' role is to keep us safe. I mean, yeah, just kind of
Yeah, and
when
there's a
it boils
lot.
down
I mean,
to.
I know I'm talking a lot about content moderation. I think that is the biggest bulk of trust and safety, but it's more complex than that.
Hmm.
People that are writing policy, you're having people leading crisis escalation teams, building well-being programs for content moderation, right? So also just product design. Like how can we design this product to ensure it's safe for our users. So there's a lot of different aspects within tech and trust and safety that social workers can be part of.
Yeah. Um, Out of those things, the crisis escalation, that really stands out to me. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, there's always a fire when it comes to trust and safety. So I really think in simple terms, crisis management, the team in trust and safety, they really jump into action when something bad or unexpected happens on a platform. Every day we're putting out fires when it comes to
Hmm.
trust and safety. So it can be just I think one of the biggest ones too is like harmful content going viral. That's something that we hear a lot about, right? Or it can also be something as like a coordinated attack. So what they need to do is they have to act fast. They have to respond really quickly to stop the harm from spreading. So if it is
Yeah.
viral content going like the shooting, so that was going viral, and so they would have to step up and talk to the the product teams and engineering teams like, hey, how can we take this content down?
Hmm.
But they also have to make that decision. Are we going to take it down? Is this newsworthy? So and they also have to coordinate with the teams, like I mentioned, and also just communicate it across to internal teams, leaders, and sometimes even the public on what's going on. But also,
Interesting.
yeah, another big one is also always reviewing and learning. So once the crisis is over, look at what happened and how you can improve for the next time.
Hmm.
Whether it's, hey, do we need to build something to stop this going viral? Or, hey, is there a misstep that we took in our actions? How can we respond to this crisis better next time?
Hmm. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. I think it makes so much sense that there is I feel like when I hear about crisis, I think about it being in person and like us social workers supporting people in crisis, wherever that is, right? But that can look it can look different online. Like the actual user could be in crisis, but then there could be, I don't know, a crisis that's happening in the world that's then being filmed, that then is like being shown to the rest of the world. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I'm curious about like if a user was expressing like suicidality, for example, like what would be some like how would you address that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And this is something that we actually brought up to our teams because I felt like we were just not doing enough. And
Mm-hmm.
kind of the social worker and me was like, we need to do more. I don't like what we're doing, right? Um, so what we ended up doing is creating a push notification to users. And if somebody did report them saying, "Hey, I'm worried about this person," right? They're showing self-harm or
Mm-hmm.
they said they're going to do this. Um, so that push notification would just send them localized resources on how to get help and saying like, "Hey, somebody's worried about you." Just letting them know that, hey, people care and here are some resources. If it
Yeah.
was like like almost a suicide attempt, right? And it was like very specific, planned out. We would escalate it to our law enforcement team.
Okay.
So at tech platforms, they also have a law enforcement team that handles all of that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say law enforcement, it's not like
I'm not
the
reaching out to
s-
law enforcement
the
myself. We
city.
have,
It's not like the city or county, whatever law enforcement. It's like your guys's
yeah, so yeah, and then
interdepartmental.
they would kind of say, all right, are we going to escalate this to law enforcement? So they could specifically reach out to law enforcement, like
Mm.
city or state, right? Wherever the user is located,
Hmm.
do a welfare check.
Wow. So yeah, then I mean, thinking about it's like again, just kind of comparing there. This is just yeah, social work on like just such a broader scale because when I think about when I worked in the emergency department and someone would come in and maybe they were expressing, you know, SI or maybe they had, you know, attempted, um, I would give them resources, local resources,
Yeah.
right? But you all in this tech world are managing content and trying to keep people safe, who live all over the world.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just kind of like creating these resources. Obviously, there's teams that can do that for you. I would assume you're not doing that. Maybe you are.
That was something, so that was a project that was given to us. So, I didn't specifically work on that project, but my coworkers did,
Okay.
of kind of gathering up the resources.
Yeah.
But they did it on a national level for like
Yeah.
the US, like the hotlines,
Yeah.
of where the users were based. So that was a big project that they undertook. But something else too is just like when you search, like suicide, or if you search, I know some platforms are like, hey, here are some resources if you need help.
Yes.
So even being more proactive like that, I know if you search Google, I don't call, a lot of the public calls it child pornography, which is not correct. It is CSAM, child sexual abuse material. But if you search that in just the Google search, it will pop up with an alert like, hey, this is illegal content, and if you need help, this is where you should get help, right?
Wow.
So there's a lot. I think that's also it's a proactive approach, right? Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, you could just be searching for news articles, right? Not necessarily for that content because you won't find it. Uh,
Totally. Yeah, I've seen that before on Google where I don't know what I've typed in, and then it's like, you know, people love you and you need, here's a resource. I'm like, oh, that's nice, but
yeah,
that's not what I was doing. But I see what you guys are doing and I respect it. I like it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's people behind that doing that, and that's definitely a space for social workers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so fascinating. And it's like I initially, had a question of like, what are some skills and like that you rely on most, but it's as you're explaining what you do and I can just it seems so clear of like what your friend said. We're just you're the social workers of the internet. It's all the same skills. They're transferable skills, which is just super fascinating. What surprised you most about working in tech as a social worker, just in general? Good, bad way, challenging, all that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really had to think about this. Um, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it. So,
You're allowed to say whatever you want on this podcast,
uh,
except, we're just not trying to slander organizations, but
yes. Oh,
other than that,
it's not okay.
other than that,
But how many dick pics I would see?
oh God.
Like, I wish I was joking. Like, I mean, people would report them. I did not think I would see that many in my life. I wish I was joking.
I was not expecting that. Oh my gosh. So,
But it really is. Like, I think before I started, I was really naive. I mean,
okay.
as a social worker, you're aware of the real
What?
life harms,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like, you realize how fucked up the world is.
Absolutely.
But I think about the online aspect, I was so naive about it.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother world, and it's
Honestly,
more messed.
I feel like a lot of us are still very naive about it
People
because there are
are,
people like you that are keeping us safe and shielded from the
yes.
harm, right?
I try to educate people, especially like my siblings or my nieces and nephews, right, about it, especially children online. Like, don't accept friend requests from anybody you don't know, like in real life, right?
Yeah.
You just can't trust it. It's probably, they say they're a 15-year-old girl, but it's probably a 70-year-old man, right? Like, or somebody from a different country. Just, I mean, financial sextortion is huge, and they have people from other countries that are just trying to. It's a group of people that are just trying to do sextortion for financial gains for teenagers, right?
Interesting.
So,
Can you explain a little bit more about that? Like what
yeah.
yeah, it's like I can maybe deduce what that might mean, but yeah,
Yeah, so
explain.
people will, I think I'll put it in simple terms. So I always try to like to explain things in
This is perfect.
kindergarten terms for people, but somebody will, let's say you're on a platform, I can't even say platform X anymore because there is an X. Well, let's just say you're on platform ABC
Yeah.
and somebody sends you a friend, you are a 15-year-old male, and somebody sends you a friend request and they say that they're a 16-year-old female. And you guys just start to get to chat, right? And they really gain your trust. And then that 16-year-old female is like, hey, send me some nude photos of you. So you do. And then they use that photo and say, hey, I'm not really that 16-year-old female that you thought I was. And you have to
Oh,
give me money, or I'm going to show your photo to all of your friends. And they have the list of friends from like
because
your
they've
account.
been
Right.
close. Oh, yeah, they're friends with you on your
And yeah,
account.
so you can see all of their friends, and they're
Oh
like,
my
I know your mom and dad, and I'll send it. And so the teen will either give them the money or try to find out, figure out a way to send them the money, or they're like, I don't have the money. And it's really unfortunate, but you do hear about these suicide cases where teens have killed themselves over this, and it's extremely heartbreaking. But there's a lot of groups um, outside of the US that are doing this to children.
Oh my gosh. That is so heartbreaking. Um, so yeah, then after Snapchat, you worked at Adobe, community safety. When I think of Adobe, I think of like Photoshop and it being a software company and video editing. It's like what kind of role can a social worker play at an organization like that? Like how are you impactful there?
Yeah, so I at Adobe, that's a good I get that all the time. I ask myself that a lot too, but before the role. Um, but at Adobe, I managed the team that handled user reports. So I think so Behance is one of the platforms that Adobe owns, and it's like the LinkedIn for creatives.
Oh,
So
okay.
think about it's almost like, hey, if you have an issue on LinkedIn, right? Or
Totally.
hey, if a creative like there was a IP issue or a copyright issue,
Okay.
right? Or they're like, hey, Coke stole my design off Behance or whatever it is.
Okay.
Um, or if it's we remove something because the artwork was against policy. So that was also kind of one of the things that we did was appeals.
Okay.
So we remove something and the user's like, hey, you shouldn't have removed this, and we'll take a second look at it. And we're like, either no, our action was correct, or no, you're right, we shouldn't have removed it. Let's put it back up, and we apologize about that. So that's also another aspect of trust and safety too, is that those appeals, making
Mm-hmm.
sure we don't always get it right, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we use AI, we use humans, but nobody, AI is not perfect. Humans are not perfect. We're going to get it wrong at times. So
Yeah.
I think having that appeals process is a really big part of it.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Let's talk about I mean, I think you've touched on this a little bit already, but just kind of directly any decision that you made or initiative that you felt like really was like social worky within the tech world.
You know what? I recently gotten this question, and it was hard for me just to think of one. I think it was just the biggest thing is just advocating for
Hmm.
the users. And I think in social work, we advocate for our clients
Yeah.
every single day, right? So I think whether it's, hey, this new policy came out and we're like, that's going to really impact the user, or that's not correct. Can we change it? Or, hey, this
Interesting.
policy's um it doesn't make sense, right? And I don't think we can't understand it, and I don't think the users are going to understand it. So really, I think the biggest thing is just advocating for the users.
Yeah. Do you have any policies that like come to mind that you can think of that you remember being like, this is going to be harmful, or like it is going to really impact people?
I can't necessarily think of
That's
one.
okay.
Yeah, right off the top of my head. It's been a while.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, so we're moving through your career journey, and you go from Adobe to Genpact.
Yeah, so then I completely switched, right? So I started nonprofit tech, right? Or big tech, I should say. And now I call myself tech adjacent. So I work, Genpact is a BPO and consulting company.
What's a
So
BPO mean?
good question. I was about to answer
No
that.
kidding.
I didn't even know, right? For a while. It stands for business outsourcing process, but essentially it's outsourcing. So companies hire BPOs to do their work because, and I'm just going to talk from trust and safety perspective
Okay.
because these companies, BPOs, do so much more than just trust and safety. Trust
Yeah.
and safety is just a sliver of what they do. Um, but content, and I'm going to stick to content moderation because I think it's the biggest piece. But companies cannot handle these billions in pieces of content to moderate every single day. So they hire BPOs to help them manage that process. Um, Not only is it because of the scale, but they also want to make sure that they're able to provide this service 24/7, 365, right? Around the clock, because they have users across the world. They can't just work in California 8 to 5, right? It's not going to work, especially when a crisis arises. It never arises Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, but then there's also the consulting piece of it too. So, some companies will come and say, "Hey, we don't necessarily, we need help with this piece, or we need some advisory on this piece. Can you come in and help us and guide us on what we should do?" So, there's that piece of it too.
Okay, so when you say companies, are you talking about like these big, like LinkedIn, like these big tech companies, or are they smaller companies that you're usually working with?
Every BPO is going to decide on what type of companies that they want to do manage,
Okay.
right? Or
Okay.
handle, but or work with, I partner with, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they can be startup to enterprise. So it can be very small startup.
Yeah.
Usually they're handling those in-house though.
Yeah.
It's a little bit when they start getting to the, hey, we can't handle this by ourselves anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all the way up to one of the biggest companies you can think of, right?
Yeah. So, okay, interesting. So it's like I don't know of all of these different platforms, but like are
There's,
a lot of
I don't even know them all.
there's
There's,
so many, right? So it's like these platforms that maybe you've kind of worked with adjacent to through Genpact, are they social media platforms? Like, what kind of companies need Genpact support in terms of like trust and safety and content moderation?
yeah, that's a good question. So I can't necessarily talk about the clients for Genpact. I'll talk about BPOs in general.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. So they BPOs help social media. They help dating platforms. They help online
Oh,
gaming. They
gotcha.
help search engines. Um, Everybody is coming online, right? You have insurance companies, you have banking companies that are coming online. So any company or e-commerce, any company that is online is going to need trust and safety.
Fascinating. Okay, that makes so much sense.
There's just different issues, right? Like
Yeah.
you think about an e-commerce site, they're gonna if people are able to leave reviews, well, that's user-generated content. So once you allow somebody to post pictures or videos or say anything they want, that could be a little dangerous, right? You don't know what they're
Mm.
gonna say. Um, so are they uploading appropriate pictures, right? Or are they putting curse words in their reviews? Is that allowed by the platform, right? Or are there fake reviews? There's a lot of people that do fake reviews is a huge issue.
Yeah.
So trying to spot those as well.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that makes so much
It's so
sense.
trust and safety. I it's so complex.
Yeah,
Not
yeah. And there's so many different, yeah, like you're saying, there's so many different issues depending on the platform, just as there are, in person, depending on the setting that you're at,
yeah,
hospital, school, doing therapy. Like when you mentioned e-commerce sites or banking, like any platform that's online that has users interacting with it, like I think, I'm thinking back to I was needing to cancel my T-Mobile internet,
yeah,
for example. And I didn't want to call them, so I'm chatting with whoever works there. But I imagine that T-Mobile probably has some sort of trust and safety team. I don't know, in case I'm sharing things through this chat that make it seem like I'm not doing well,
yeah.
and whatever that might look like. But yeah, that makes so much sense. I'm curious, like when you said banking platforms, like
Well, if you
them too.
yeah, and I'm not
Yeah.
too familiar. I've been seeing like job postings for
Okay.
banks for trust and safety, so I
Okay.
know it's on the rise. I don't know all of the issues, so I can't go into depth. But if you think about it too, where like earlier I talked about the financial sextortion, right? How are they getting this money? It's through banking.
Mm,
So the banking plays a
mm.
role in it. So they are really trying to stop this as well. But like I said, I don't know everything that goes on with banking, but
No, that's fair.
that's one aspect, right?
Yeah. No,
But
that
I'm sure it's
makes.
also too like scammers. You hear about people getting scammed out of money all the time.
Oh my gosh, right?
So I mean, I get alerts or emails and I love it because it's proactive. It's like, hey, this scam's on the rise. Or hey, here's some safety tips so you don't give out your information. And I'm getting that actively from the banks.
Me too. I know. I'm thinking back, like those texts, when I need to get a text code to put in something, it's like in all caps, do not share this with anyone, like just, I'm sure that's trust and safety, right? Just like little things that I never even really thought about in my life where I'm like, oh,
And to be fair, I hate
okay.
putting that code. Every time I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. Why? And I'm like, I know why. Like it's
The
safe.
code's annoying, I know. And it's so funny, like when I'm with my husband and, I manage our finances and like investments and all those things. And so sometimes I need to get into his account. And so it texts him a code.
Oh,
And I'm like, okay, what's the code? And he's like, well, I'm not supposed to share this with anyone. I'm like, what's the code? But yeah, wow. It's just so fascinating. And I think there's so many social workers. I mean, you even said so many social workers are blowing up your DMs because they're so curious about this, And yeah, it's like I wonder why. I wonder why, like I think it's super fascinating, but I wonder why you're getting such um I don't know, just people are so interested in it. Why do you think?
I think one thing is I've been a huge so one of my goals one year, I think it was a few years back, was to be more active on LinkedIn. And so I posted random things and I was just like, I have to make who do I want to be, right? Or who am I that I want to showcase on LinkedIn? And I think that's big for everybody. But it was what makes me unique is I'm a social worker in tech.
So true.
And so I was like, I want more social workers in tech. Um,
Hmm.
and I want them to make money, right? So that's a big
Period.
and so that was just my biggest thing is, hey, I'm gonna post more, and not only am I gonna post more for social workers, but a huge aspect of me posting is also just to make hiring managers and recruiters aware more. Just because it says social worker, I should take an extra look at this resume. And I should maybe have a screening call with them, right?
Interesting.
Because I think it's one of those things where trust and safety jobs the job posting does not say social work degree. Granted, I've seen a couple and I'm like applauding those companies and I'm so excited when I see them,
Yeah.
but a majority of them don't.
Yeah.
And I think that is a big people, especially women, we don't apply to things unless we meet 100% of those boxes, right?
Yes.
And we're
Yes.
like, oh, it says I need a whatever, like a sociology degree. Well, I have social work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever degree it is, you're like, oh, I can't apply. And that's not true. I think it's one of those things where you you don't have to check all of those boxes. I'm also seeing more job descriptions say, hey, you don't have to check all of these boxes. We're going to encourage you to apply. And I apply those companies. I think more companies need to do that as well. But if you do not meet 100% of the criteria, still apply because your skills are relevant.
Yeah, I love that. So, I mean, yeah, that's probably a huge reason why there's social workers are so underrepresented. It's
Or we also don't know because in school, do we ever talk about this? We don't.
literally never. I was just talking with my with Faith yesterday, and again, I don't I feel like I keep saying it, but just like our minds are literally blown with this path that social workers can take, and we graduated 7 years ago, and we're just learning about this year.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, this is the point. One of the points of this podcast is to give social workers kind of exposure to the various things that they can do. So thank you again for coming on and sharing
Of course.
your experience, because this is exciting. It's something unique, and it's an I'm sure it just seems like an evolving field. Like the the internet is just going to continue to get more complex and scary, and we need people like social workers to be integrated and keeping the community safe.
Yeah, and there's a growing number of us in tech. Like and a lot of us too are starting to put MSW behind our name so you can find us because
Oh,
we want you to
yes.
know this is a
Yes.
path.
Yes. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, you were like, I want social workers to make more money. That's amazing. Just generally, let's talk about the salaries you had. So, obviously, I mean, not obvious. I say obviously, but like you going into your first grad school, first job after grad school, intensive therapy, probably were getting paid super low. Yeah, what, in the 30s, 30,000?
Honestly, I don't. I think
Yeah,
it was 40,000.
that's fine. Yeah, that was in
It's
what,
around
I'm
there.
looking, 2011. Okay. And then into Snapchat, everyone's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is when I worked at Snap, it was still startup, right? We
Yeah.
were on Venice Beach.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
Oh, it was we were walking on the beach to go to our next meeting. It was amazing. We did move over to Santa Monica at one point, but it was still startup. So I think when I started there, I started around 60,000. I'm really bad at knowing my
That's
salaries.
okay.
But by the end, I was around the 80,000 range. I
Okay.
do know after shortly I left that they did um, they raised everybody's
Like
pay.
internal equity reviews.
Yeah, so I know that some of my colleagues got raises just to make it, they benchmarked across the industry. So, and then obviously the higher you go, the more you get paid.
Yeah, totally. And since then, I mean, I remember like
Yeah,
offline,
so
you were
once
like,
I got to Adobe, that's when I hit the six-figure mark.
mm,
Um, and now like it's definitely a different world than what I made as a social worker. So I'm well into the six figures now and it still blows my mind. I'm like, I make ridiculous money. Um, and TSPA, which is the Trust and Safety Professional Association, just released their report. It's a report on salary compensation. So the roles in trust and safety specifically, the median is 128,000 to 255,000. And that was just the median. So they also post the 25th percentile and the 75th percentile. So it's You can make good money. I've seen ranges recently. I think it also depends on the location you're in, right? Like um I've seen some in the Bay Area for that are like 300,000-400,000 the
Good
job posting.
Lord.
So it's
I mean, it's just like money that we've never even, like, as social workers, it's just not something that even seems possible, or that's not a normal conversation,
no.
like with us. Like, I am slowly transitioning into financial planning and have just learning from people who are in this field, and just like entry level jobs being 120,000, people opening their own practice firms making 250,000, 300,000, and that's normal. I'm like, these are just like salary numbers that we don't just hear about in social work, So, yeah, that's amazing. What do you think about, like, how has the work life balance been? And it's, you're making a good salary, but do you feel like you're being overworked and you're tired? And I mean, maybe you're tired, but yeah.
Um so the thing about trust and safety, it's high burnout. Just like
Mm.
social work, right? Because you are dealing with some of the worst of the worst. And it's the same thing with social work, right? You're dealing with not the
Not
kind
fun
stuff,
stuff.
right?
Not the good stuff. Yeah, we're the social workers of the internet. So
Yeah.
it's same stuff, same
It's
issues.
also the same thing. The same issue is you have to safety is sometimes treated as an afterthought, right? Like you're fighting for your resources. It's the same thing as social work. Um, but
Wow.
it's impactful. It's really impactful work, and we do this work because we're driven by the mission, and that's protecting people. So I think it's one of those things where, yes, do have well-being programs, and that really does help. But I think
Mm-hmm.
we need to do a better job of recognize. Our body always gives us signals, right? Like, hey, you can't sleep tonight, or hey, your shoulder's hurting. Those are the signals that are like, hey, you're getting burned out. But
Yeah.
sometimes even us, like even as social workers, we don't see it until it's too late and we're just
Yeah.
at that burnout stage. So I
Yeah.
think we need to do a better, we could always recognize it in other people. I was always so good at that on my team, like, hey, you need to take a break. But for
Yeah.
myself, I couldn't. I would even, one of my colleagues was like, hey, I can't handle this report. Can you do it? I'll do it, right? Like trying to be the superhero of the team.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that just is the social worker in me. Hey, I want to save everybody, right? I want to help.
Yeah.
So it is very high burnout. Um,
Interesting.
but you need to start recognizing your burnout and take time off when you need it.
Hmm.
I'm very fortunate that I get unlimited vacation.
See,
Another benefit.
another benefit of being in tech with unlimited PTO. What does that even mean? Please tell us.
Um, as Americans, we don't ever use PTO. So I think they did that to not have to pay out when you leave a company, right?
Oh, that's
That's my That's
fascinating.
my theory. So, but it's also, I honestly love unlimited PTO because I wouldn't take PT or sorry, paid time off. If people don't, I use PTO, but I don't
Yeah.
know if social workers are going to know that abbreviation. Um, but I would never use it because what if I get really sick? Like I got COVID and I was out for 10 days.
You're talking about like in a previous job where you
In
didn't
a
have a
previous
limited
job,
PTO.
right?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
um, and it was just one of those things where I'm like, what if I get really sick? I have to have time off, so I have to bank my time. So I love unlimited vacation because I don't have to worry about it when I'm sick.
Yeah. You're not like,
I,
oh, actually, I'm already using my PTO for this like trip that I'm wanting to take in a couple months, so I actually can't take this time off while I'm sick.
and the thing
So
is, most people don't abuse it, right? Like
yeah.
people are gonna show up. I think last year I took maybe 2 weeks off, um, which isn't a ton of time off, but that I think that's what average people people get. um, But there was another year where I took 3 weeks off, right? Total. So it's just one of those things. It's nice to have. You don't have to worry about being sick.
Yeah,
Or if your
definitely.
kid gets sick, right?
Yeah.
I
But
can't.
unlimited PTO is not synonymous with every time you put in a vacation request, it's approved, right?
I've never had an issue with it.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So I
So you
think
need to
it,
be taking more time off, let me just say.
yes,
Okay? We all need to. I
2026 goals, more time off.
Okay. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna hold you to it. If okay, that was so helpful to just like really kind of dig into the weeds of like what you've done and what you've seen and all that stuff. If there are social workers listening and they're like, this sounds amazing, but I don't have experience in tech or like anything that feels related, what would you say to them? Like, what are some of your recommendations?
I say it's bullshit. You do.
Oh,
I think it's one of those things too where I think don't you do have experience, right?
yes,
Whether it's
yes.
I think a really good I'm trying to think. So really look at the job description, right? And look at you I think you just have to change the language. Social
Okay.
workers and tech, they have two completely different languages, even though they may be doing some things that are very similar, right? So
Absolutely.
if you are helped with prevent out of home placements. You can say you implemented safety interventions, right? Safety interventions is going to apply more to the tech, right?
So true.
Or if you built support plans, call them well-being programs. Um, so I think you just really have to,
Interesting.
yeah, I think you really just have to change the language. I also want to say AI is our friend. So if you're not sure how your um resume like goes with this like potential job, you're like, oh my God, this sounds like a dream job in tech, but I don't have experience or I don't know how to correlate this experience to tech, right?
Yeah.
Use AI to help you. Like, hey, first off, warning, AI is not 100% correct, right?
Yes.
But it can be a tool, and I think that we can use it, especially to help build our cover letters and our JDs, especially when we are trying to switch industries. I think it's
Yes.
really helpful to
Yes.
really just look at the JD and align your language to the role.
Yeah.
Mm. And really, I think I used to hate, I would always tell people don't do cover letters. I hate cover letters. Um,
You hate writing them or you just think they're dumb in general?
both. But I have been telling people write cover letters, especially when you want to switch industries,
Yeah, that
because
makes
then you can
sense.
explain how you have this unique lens, right?
Hmm.
You're trained to see the harm before it happens. So
Hmm.
I think the cover letter is really going to help you tailor how your experience does translate.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And all of these tips and things, everyone, just resources that Leslie's mentioned, TrustCon and all this stuff is going to be in the show notes. There'll be a link in the show notes to a blog post with a little bit more details. So that's where you can find all of that. But that is such a good point, like kind of explaining, yeah, how our skills translate and how we can really be an asset to these teams because our perspective is so unique. Like I actually yesterday, I was telling my friend about this field and I found a job posting on at Spotify, associate policy support specialist, and I just pulled it up because I just want to read one of these, um a couple of these, like, what you will do. So conduct objective and timely investigations into reported content in queues to ensure compliance with Spotify's platform rules. So to me, that sounds like you're reviewing content to see, like this, the content moderation,
Yeah.
right? Triage and handle high profile and or time sensitive escalations. We know how to do that. including communication with internal stakeholders. Again, we are collaborative. There's, yeah, again, we
We
can
know
do
how to
that.
build rapport. That's a big one. Yeah.
We what?
We know how to build rapport.
Totally.
And that's part of that communication piece, right?
Yeah, and like partner cross functionally with policy teams and vendors. Like, yeah, we know how to collaborate with like our people that work in our organizations, but also external organizations. And yeah, I'm like everything that is listed here. I mean, this job is based out of New York. I'm not applying for this, but just like it's interesting seeing this. And yeah, it's kind of it's written with this tech lens and with this like the tech lingo, but ultimately I could say, yeah, I've done everything that's on this list. And the requirements are a bachelor's degree, 1 to 2 years of experience, um, in operations role supporting content moderation. I feel like if I wanted to apply this, I would look up normally, I would see that and be like, oh, I don't have 1 to 2 years of experience in content moderation. I'm not going to apply for it. But you're saying we should.
You do have the experience, right? Like,
Or maybe I do have the experience. Tell me, do I
like
have the experience?
I mean, just because you don't in content moderation, right? But to me, it's also you have it dealing with people in a different aspect. Um, I just think that as hiring managers and recruiters, we can do a better job at writing job descriptions. I think
Yeah.
there's definitely, and make sure that more people apply, make it more universal, right? Um, but some people, yeah, won't apply because they're gonna say, "Oh, I don't have this exact experience,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna see,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, my social work experience is not content moderation."
Yep. Yep. That's just go for it. Just go for it.
I mean, it's
You never
okay.
know.
Yeah, you never know. Like I
Mm-hmm.
applied like the Adobe job. I went from senior specialist to a senior manager. That was like 3 levels above, right? So it's one of those
Okay, Leslie, I see you.
it's just one of those things, like just try it, right?
Yeah.
You never know. The hiring manager may see something really special in you. Um, I know that there's one specific tech company where they have a couple social workers on their team and it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. So
Yeah.
it's definitely just try it.
Yeah, I love that. Any roles, job titles social workers should look out for when exploring these jobs? I mean, the one that I just came across was associate policy support specialist. I think from what I've seen in my like limited digging is trust and safety seems to be kind of like some good keywords to use. What else?
Yeah, so I used to love when everybody used trust and safety because it was so easy.
Yeah.
But it's a growing space and now they're trying to make fancy titles. So I used to post on LinkedIn a Thursday edition of like different jobs, right? Just to give social workers to like, hey, these are
Oh,
some jobs I
okay.
stopped for a side project, but I will start up again shortly. There's somebody else that does that.
Okay, I'll try to source those
Yeah, I
and
can
I'll
definitely,
link
yeah,
those in the show notes also.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
for
definitely
sure.
do that. So some of them for trust and safety are trust and safety specialist, which I mentioned I was, right? Community manager, policy manager, which that one was policy, right? Or policy analyst. Uh,
Yeah, policy support specialist.
yeah, wellness lead, incident manager, um, law enforcement response specialist. So if you want to move more into that law enforcement route, right? Um, mental health and well-being policy lead is one that I just found one of my connects on LinkedIn has. Trust and safety program manager. The list just goes on. There's
Yeah.
different job titles.
Yeah, that's I love that. We we need this because I think that's the other thing is like what do you search for? If you don't know about it, but now people are getting exposed to this information, but then also it's like okay, this sounds interesting. Now what do I put in the
So,
search?
yeah, I think another one is if there's any company that you're like, I would love for this to work for this company. I'm really into gaming and that's the space I want to be in, right? Like, not only do you follow those companies on LinkedIn, but also set up job alerts. So then you're going to be getting, it can be, I think LinkedIn does like weekly. I think you get to choose how often you get those updates. But then you can see those job titles come in, but you can see like, oh, this title seems interesting. Let me click on it. And you're like, oh, this is right up my alley, right? So
Mm-hmm.
definitely, if there are any specific companies that you're like, I want to work for because I have a passion for this space or I have a passion for this app where I want to make it better, definitely set up those alerts.
Yeah. Do you find that are there any like special job boards that these jobs are on, or just all of the kind of regular ones that we use for everything? LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed,
Great
whatever.
question. So I think LinkedIn's going to be your best friend.
Okay.
Um, but there's also the Trust and Safety Job Board. Um, that just came up, but that is you get like a third, it's paid. So you
Okay.
do have to pay for it.
Okay.
Um, but I think you get like there's a 30-day free trial if you want. So that
Okay.
might be also just good to see like, hey, what are some of the job titles? They also post on LinkedIn and they post some of those job titles and then they put and more, and then you can go and look for some of them. Another big resource is Jeff Dunn. He is a trust and safety professional and he posts jobs every Tuesday. So he's a really great person to follow as well.
Ooh, awesome. Ugh, Leslie, these tips are gold. I had a question of like what courses or education would you recommend for social workers, but we don't need anything more. We don't need to be getting any more credentials. I mean, that's my perspective.
Ex-
Now that from hearing what you said of like you have everything. You have it.
yeah.
So, what do you
You
think?
have it. And honestly, I've talked to so many social workers and I get this question every single time.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, do I need a new certification or yeah,
yeah, I'm like,
like
it's great that you want to learn more, right?
yeah.
I do like first off, there's no degree yet, but universities are starting to teach trust and safety. So there are starting to become trust and safety courses.
Okay.
If you're interested, sure. Like
But doesn't seem
one,
necessary.
that's not necessary.
Yeah.
Um, there's also people you can follow on LinkedIn, right? Or there's different things that you can, if you're interested in learning more, like setting up Google alerts, like, hey, I want news articles on like these topics related to like trust and safety, right? So I have that. I do simple trust and safety, and I think I do content moderation. I forget what the other one is, but I just get news articles and then I can learn about too what's happening in the industry. So then you can also, hey, I'm learning about it. I'm learning about what some of the issues are, but you're also learning about how to talk about it as well.
Ooh. I love that. I love that. Okay. Any other strategies, tips?
I think my
Um,
biggest tip is be bold on LinkedIn. And when I say that is you can, if this is something that you really want to explore, you can add a line like social worker exploring tech or MSW interested in online safety and policy, right?
ooh, mm-hmm.
And then reach out to people in tech
Yeah.
that have jobs that you're like, ooh, that seems really cool. Um, even cold DMs, like Taylor,
Yes.
you are a cold DM, and look now.
I I I know. I'm like a cold DM has blossomed into Leslie being here and you sharing all this info and like then you connecting me with a whole group of other social workers in trust and safety. And yeah, I feel like over the past like 5 years, I would say I think I'm the queen. A queen. I'm not the queen. I'm a queen of cold DMs. Like I literally would just message people and be like, "Hey, what you're doing sounds awesome. Like, do you want to talk?" And I I don't think I can think of one person who said no.
Yeah, I don't.
People are so willing to talk.
They really are. And the thing is too, I mean, I work remotely, so another huge benefit, I work from home.
Ugh,
Um, and I can't say that about tech everywhere because there's a lot of research, the office mandates, but it's one of those things too. People want to talk, right? They
Yes.
want to network.
Yeah. And
So
especially social workers, we
yeah,
want to help other social workers, right? Like you, that's why you kind of started posting and just sharing, like, I'm a social worker in tech. I want more social workers in tech. Like, yeah, us specifically, we want to help each other and like help us succeed and get the money and all the things.
absolutely.
I love that. Okay, anything else you want to share before we get into the money moment?
No, I think just first off, just apply, right? Or if just learn more about the industry and think about, is this a path for me, right? And there's definitely a bunch of social workers out there that are willing to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. Okay. So, money moment for anyone who hasn't listened to the podcast before. We try to do a money moment if we have time, and we do, which is just kind of recentering and bringing the conversation back to money. And, that's what this podcast um, is about. I mean, it's about personal finance and career, but also helping social workers get more comfortable with talking about money and um, us just being more vulnerable with each other and normalizing these conversations around money. So we ask our guests, or if we're doing solo episodes, Faith and I will share our money moment, which is just like an insight, a win, anything in between that you want to share with the audience about money. So, Leslie, what do you have for your money moment?
Uh, Simple, negotiate.
It's simple. It's simple. It's a simple word, but
It's
not simple to do.
It's not, and so I think social workers may not be comfortable, right? We're not used to
Mm-mm.
it, or you're working for a nonprofit where there's no money, right? And I think your first time can feel it's terrifying. I'm not gonna lie.
It's always terrifying. I feel like.
Yeah, the worst they can say is no, but a majority of the time they will say yes. I want to tell you quickly about my first experience. I asked, "Can I negotiate?" And they said no, and I was like, "Okay," like I didn't know, right?
Right, because we don't talk about this in school, right? Of
No,
like, okay, you're going into the workforce,
and I didn't
nothing.
know how to do it, right? From then, I did find out one of my colleagues came on, I think like 2 or 3 months after me, and did negotiate for more on my team. So I was like, from that, I was like gutted. I was like, we were able to, like, I did it wrong. And I took that as an opportunity and I learned about negotiating. Like,
Yeah.
I researched so much about how to do it, like what to ask for. So, from then, I've learned a lot.
Yes.
Since then I've negotiated between 7% and 33% more in just my base pay.
Oh my gosh. Wow. That's amazing. And yeah, we have to get over that, like, the couple minutes of discomfort that we may have with asking for more, because it can really make a huge impact on your
It,
life. That's a lot of money.
it's a lot of money. I'm comfortable with it now, right? Like there's money on the table. Also in tech, fun fact, you get bonuses in stock. So you can also negotiate those. So I
Fascinating.
have negotiated successfully 5 to 10% more in my annual bonus, as well as more stock. I don't remember the percentages that I've negotiated in stock as well. So if you don't negotiate, you could be leaving a lot of money on the table.
No, that's so true.
Yeah, and I think
Wow.
my key is always to go negotiate more than what your bottom line is or what you actually want. Because they're always going to counter back, at least
Mm-hmm.
in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
So be it's terrifying your first few times, but you do get better at it. And don't
Yeah.
ask if you can negotiate, just do it.
Don't ask. That is the takeaway here. Do not ask if you can negotiate, just do it. And um just do it, Nike. Please be our
Yes.
sponsor. Anyways, um I think I love that because you have kind of gained this confidence of knowing that asking for more money does not mean that you are a terrible person, that's gross, that you care less about the work that you do. I think we've gotten these messages as social workers about like just the money messages, and wanting more makes people feel yucky. And so, yeah, that's great that you've it seems like you've kind of overcame that.
I definitely did for my very first experience.
Yeah. How do you I want to end with just like how do you prepare for this negotiation? What is your kind of like go-to process? Like are you researching the, comparable jobs in the area, or like are you just coming in and just saying like this is what I want?
So to be honest with you, I used to do that and I did a lot of digging to like the open door salaries, right? I mean, now they have this TSPA just put out their comp, which we didn't have as trust and safety professionals. So it was a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Um, Now I kind of know where I want to be, just personally. So I kind of
Cool.
just, hey, this is where I want to be.
Awesome. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And people aren't, I mean, I guess like your people aren't coming to you, I don't know, with like wanting you to provide them some sort of like reasoning or whatever, right? So,
No, I mean, in my negotiations, I don't even know. It's usually, what was my last one? Sometimes they're over the phone, which can be a little bit awkward.
I
And
agree.
sometimes people do it over email. I don't remember. I mean, I just got hired on a new job, but I don't know. I feel like I mom brain sometimes
That's
where,
fair.
where I forget. Um, but they don't necessarily, yeah, they don't ask for evidence at all. I've never once had that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did once have somebody come back with a very low, like counter offer back, and I was just like, I can't accept this role. Like, I can't. And I told them very frankly, like, I can't live in that specific area with that income, right? So,
The audacity.
yeah. So it's just one of those things where I did try to provide some backup there, but it just didn't work.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. Awesome. Well, anything else before we end that you want to share? I feel like this was pretty
No, I think
robust.
this was great. I
Yeah,
really
awesome.
appreciate you having me on so I can tell everybody about how amazing tech is, how amazing trust and safety is, and how much you can earn.
Yes. I love that you're just open with that because that's a huge part of our life satisfaction, job satisfaction. Whether people kind of in the social work field want to admit it or not, but our financial well being is so important.
So
So
I'm
yeah, that's great. Okay, where can people find you? You're mostly hanging out on LinkedIn, right?
mostly on LinkedIn, the easiest way to reach out to me.
Awesome.
And I will continue to post more about social workers in tech and trust and safety.
Yay.
So definitely follow along.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I believe this is probably our longest episode yet, which is totally fine and I love it. Hope everyone enjoyed. And if you did, shameless plug again, please rate, review, follow us, all of the things. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back in 2 weeks.